Welcome to Popcorn Planet. We are live. Christopher, welcome to the show. We were just talking about Ezra Miller, more craziness. It's just the story that'll never go away, and it's very interesting to see Warner Brothers still seems not to be doing anything. However, now Hollywood Reporter is saying, well, there's three options. One of them may be. Before we get to your thoughts on Ezra and other things, I want to pivot quickly because Kevin Federline last night dropped private videos of Britney that her kids allegedly filmed. California is a two-party state. I lived there for a long time. I did hidden cam pranks. You got to be super careful from my experience of what I know, my limited experience with how you do it. Releases were always required. Like, you can't just film and release stuff out there in California and any states that are two-party without serious ramifications. That said, it was the kids, and then that makes it even more complicated that these kids were filming it. Did she know they were filming it? Do you have any sort of legal thoughts on what K-Fed did last night in releasing those videos, which have now been deleted, and we have Rosengart's response? But before we get there, what do you think about all this?
Well, I mean, it's disgusting. It's disgusting that he would go there and use that. It makes him look horrific, and he's stating that he's doing it, to kind of clear the record and protect kids, and make sure everyone knows the facts. But he's only doing harm to the children. So absolutely disgusting, his conduct. Now, on recording in California, yes, you need to have two-party consent. It doesn't have to be in writing, but it's just if you know that you're being recorded, both sides know that they're being videotaped, there's the consent, because they can just walk away and saying, I don't, basically want to be part of this. So if she knew that she was being recorded, then fine. If she did not know, then it's a violation, but it's a violation by the children who were taping her, and they're minors, so nothing's going to happen to them. It's not Kevin that was taping it; it was the kids. So now the use of that recording, it's not a crime to use it. I mean, any media outlet can use it. Kevin could have used it in evidence in a custody case, but to go and publish it, I think that's a violation of Britney's right of privacy. And so she could sue for that violation of privacy. I mean, these are intimate, personal moments, parent and child interactions that normally people would think would be private and not recorded and then released. So I think he is subject to liability for invasion of privacy. And then also it just speaks so well to his motivations, and whatever he's saying about protecting the children, he's wrong. He's harming the children. Even if they feel however he thinks or says they do about their mom, that is not something that you would ever, as a responsible parent or human, put out there.
Yeah, it's really just Kim. I call it scumbag, but Kim said it best of just human garbage is what this guy seems to have become, and resorting to this level of privacy invasion. And as the first thing I saw last night when I was responding to the people sort of it coming out, like even her kids were recording her. Like, it's so damn heartbreaking and tragic to learn that she didn't have privacy anywhere. Like, even in alone time with her children. It seems like who told them to do that? Like, you've dealt with custody battles and things of this nature. Like, I'm curious your take as a divorce attorney. This was clearly, there was a lot going between K-Fed and Britney throughout this trial thing. But I'll say it, I'm not a fan of Kevin's lawyer, this Mark Kaplan guy, who I feel like has always been his mouthpiece, speaking for him and keeping it going on. And it's hard for me to believe that there wasn't some other sort of arrangement or something going on to really just strip all the rights of those kids from her. And so what's really weird to me is K-Fed has seemingly been out of it, like hasn't said a word, lets the lawyer do the dirty work. Clearly there's a long play that the lawyer had, etc. But for him to come out like this now, K-Fed, and post it himself, put himself on the line, and it clearly is backfiring. I don't see it helping him at all. And I don't know what they were thinking. It proves that Britney, Britney disciplined her kids. Hello, completely allowed and normal. And beyond that, it shows that the kids have been raised by Kevin. It just seems they have attitude. They're fighting back with her. It isn't the smoking gun that they thought. So from a custody battle and everything else, like, what is your reaction as an attorney? Is this something that you've ever dealt with, where people are like telling their kids to secretly film it? Do you think there's a bigger involvement there? What's your take?
Well, sure. I mean, it especially with teenage kids, we certainly have seen that before. Now Mark Kaplan, and have had lots of cases with him, and he's a extremely aggressive attorney, and and like I say, I've had lots of cases with him. And
so you won't say anything mean, I'll say it.
No. But I'm saying is that this guy is not a problem solver. He's a problem creator. And you're right that K-Fed had let Kaplan do all the dirty work for him. He's the one giving all the statements, Kaplan, and K-Fed, was in the shadows manipulating all this for these years. And why he comes forward with this to basically crap on himself, I have no idea. It was a terrible strategy. But what was frustrating was that Kevin Federline was one of the few people on earth who had legal standing to terminate the conservatorship. When you look at California law, there's a short list of people who could actually walk into court and saying, I move or petition to terminate this conservatorship. He was on that list as a former spouse co-parent. So he could have done that. But he didn't. And he was profiting from the arrangement because he was getting child support, and he eventually got it increased when he was kind of threatening to come in and ask for more, which would have exposed finances. And he also, again, had the power to come in there and terminate, which no one on the conservatorship team would have wanted. So he's complicit in this, and probably is looking for more child support, but this is not the way to do it. I think he has exposed himself, and hopefully somebody on Britney's family law team will go after him on it. But ultimately, hey, there's going to be child support. There's lots of money involved, so there's going to be lots of child support. No way around that. But terrible strategy. And I'm in a way, it's good that he was exposed. But right. It's so sad to see these interactions. These are things that we're not supposed to be seeing, because you look at any family, there's going to be harsh words, there's going to be bad moments. These are not meant to be recorded and broadcast. This is disgusting behavior. And again, it's got to be so hurtful to Britney to have what she went through and then to have this out there like that. But ultimately, it's the kids. And even though they seem like they were not raised well by Kevin, eventually they're going to grow up, and this is out here forever now.
It's weird because you said something there that made me wonder, and I'm going to bring you and Kim too, because I know you're even more than I. She is the Britney expert in this panel. But what's crazy to me is, was K-Fed more of the ringleader than maybe even I, and others have said it, but maybe I was hoping for the best, right? Because why did he post that? That's something you post whether someone makes you do it, and like it's all part of the game, or it's a reveal of the true person who's like, I'm sick of her, I'm not going to be quiet anymore, screw it, like, and putting it out there, which makes me wonder, was he way more aggressive with Kaplan behind the scenes? I mean, neither of us know the answer of who's really demanding what and what, but for me, this evidence proves K-Fed clearly was far more involved in taking this over and controlling, taking the money and living the lavish lifestyle that the rest of the Spears family was living. And now is clearly, what is it, 2 more years or so left, as with the child support those payments will stop. He's losing it. I mean, Kim also brought up the fact that Jamie's deposition is this week, right? Clearly that has to be involved in this too, Christopher, right? This what's so frustrating is there's so much going behind the scenes still of people who have been involved in destroying this woman's life and profiting from it while doing it. And we still haven't seen shit. Like, they're still out there spinning the media yarn, trying to get away with it. I don't even know what my question is. I'm complaining, Christopher, because it's so troubling to see all this. Do you think this makes Kevin look more like a ringleader in sort of keeping Britney in Team Con by releasing these?
Well, it's a good point that you're kind of alluding to, and it's, if you recall, the media matters. And if
Yep.
you go back and in time and look at the evolution of the conservatorship, the reason why it was able to last so long is that they were leaking, the conservatorship team, scumbags were leaking information, false information at times about Britney to the media, which then they were reporting to make it look like she needed to be in this conservatorship. And here, obviously, there's been a lot of bad press for Jamie and the lawyers involved in the conservatorship. And now here, it seems like a continuation of that strategy to put information out there to make Britney look bad so that it can take some of the sting away from this other media. But fortunately, the Britney has a mobilized, fan base that is, been all over this. And so I think that we're seeing now articles that are a backlash against K-Fed for doing it. But he looks horrific. He profited from the arrangement because he had control over custody and he had child support. So that conservatorship benefited him, and that's why he didn't seek to end it.
And then Kim, I want to get your thoughts, but before I wrap this up, I want to get the here's Rosengart's response. Britney Spears is a brilliantly talented, extremely hardworking icon who is rightfully beloved and respected by millions around the world. The same, unfortunately, cannot be said about Mr. Federline, who, for reasons that are inexplicable, decided to give the gratuitous interview that he has hurt the mother of his children. Britney has faithfully supported her children and she loves them dearly. Whether he realizes it or not, Mr. Federline has not only violated the privacy and dignity of the mother of his children, he has undermined his own children, whose privacy he should protect. Putting aside his interview, Mr. Federline's ill-advised decision to post an old video of his 11 and 12-year-old children was cruel, bottom-of-the-barrel stuff. In addition to demeaning himself and violating societal norms, he has now also created various legal issues for himself, including but not limited to implicating cyber harassment and cyberbullying statutes, among other things. It has been an honor to work with Britney, to suspend her father as conservator, to help her gain her freedom and dignity, and to help protect her from the type of bullying she endured in the past. And we will not tolerate bullying in any area. We are working with Instagram to ensure that Mr. Federline adheres to its rules, and we are exploring all appropriate relief against him. In the meantime, as Britney herself poignantly said, whatever is occurring between her and her boys should remain private. We urge Mr. Federline to act with a measure of grace and decency and to cease from publicly discussing private matters which benefits no one. What do you think of his statement there? Do you think that's sharp, strong, not enough?
No, I think that's right on. It's absolutely right on, and it's good that he's talking about the legal exposure that this guy now has, and so hopefully they do go after him for whatever they can.
Yeah, it's craziness. Kim, I want to get you in the conversation as well. Thoughts on what Christopher said, or a question for him?
No, I think Christopher's bang on with everything. I love how respectful you are, even when it's frustrating and we're talking about certain
Scum of the earth.
I respect that a lot. But I think the big thing that I just want to reiterate with this whole situation is Jamie Spears is being deposed this week. It has to be today or tomorrow. And he's been evading this deposition for months. And I believe, again, that this is distraction, that they don't want us talking about that. And any way you slice it or dice it, conservatorships are supposed to be for people that are incapable of caring for themselves, things like being able to feed themselves or dress themselves. So the idea of having someone like Britney Spears, who did hundreds of tour dates, a Vegas residency, multiple albums, things like that, is in that state that she needs that type of care on a daily basis is ridiculous. And Kevin, Jamie, Lou Taylor, all of these people, Robin, they all benefited from this conservatorship. And there's a lot on the line here. And there's a lot of very legitimate questions, I think, that people have about the legitimacy of the conservatorship, as well as the motivations. And we're going to start to see that more and more as more court dates happen. And I think with that, we're going to see a lot more hit pieces or hit things in media, such as these videos coming out, because they're a great distraction. Because nobody's talking about Jamie today.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, we wouldn't hear any of that though, right, Christopher? The deposition that's going to happen is going to be a private matter, right? That's not going to be publicly explained to us at any point until they need to. What can we look forward to? Or do you think there's still going to be a way for Jamie to slime out of this deposition coming up?
Yeah. So, I haven't been commenting on the whole discovery battles because, it's very frustrating, a slow and expensive process that we go through in these big cases. And, look, he was ordered to attend a deposition. And certainly the order, contemplates that he will answer questions in good faith, but he's technically not ordered to answer questions. He's ordered to attend a deposition. And so, sure, he will show up probably on Zoom, but could take the fifth on many of these questions. And so, and maybe rightfully so, because a lot of people are saying that he is engaged in criminal conduct. So all of these questions that we want answers to, I anticipate that he will take the fifth. And so, sure, he's going to be deposed and he's going to be basically saying nothing. And then what would have to happen is that Rosengart would have to go to court and say, hey, this witness refused to answer questions, asserting his right under the Fifth Amendment, to not give information that could, incriminate him. And then there would be a question on whether Jamie is truly subject to criminal prosecution for some of these things. And as I've talked about before on the legal recording and surveillance, there are statutes of limitations, meaning legal deadlines to file charges. And it appears that the deadline has passed on some, if not all, of those crimes. And so you may see Rosengart coming out there and demanding that Jamie identify the criminal statute that Jamie is concerned that he could be prosecuted for if he'd answer these questions, and to demonstrate that the statute of limitations is still open, meaning that he could still be charged. And if it's true, like some of us think, that the deadline has passed to file criminal charges, then the court should overrule that objection and order him to respond. And then at least then that would get the information out on the surveillance operation. But again, that's a return to court, many, many months to sort that out. We would then be left with the fraud and perjury issues that he potentially committed, that the statute of limitations is potentially still open on those. And so any questions about misuse or mismanagement of conservatorship funds, he could potentially say, like, hey, I could still be prosecuted for this. I'm not answering the questions. And if he does that, the court won't force him to answer, because he can't. I mean, there's a constitutional right to say no to answering those questions. But the probate court, Judge Penny, would proceed, though, with ruling on Jamie's request and the attorney's request for fees and compensation based on no evidence then from Jamie. Because if he takes the fifth, he can't say anything. So he's out, and basically it's just Britney's side saying things, and then that could lead to the denial of all the fees. We're into next year clearly on getting clarity on any of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was, because Kim, you keep saying, oh, we're distracted. Like, I sense this too. We're not going to get shit on that deposition. Like, there's not going to be anything that comes out of that anytime soon, sadly, which is so frustrating to hear it all. Go ahead. What are your thoughts?
It's just the only thing that I think of is one of the questions that we've seen Rosengart propose that he wants Jamie to answer is actually if he has been involved with Lou Taylor. So I'm very interested to see if he would plead the fifth on answering the question of, have you with Lou Taylor?
Yeah,
there's going to be some stuff. I think there's going to be some stuff.
Here's the thing that I wish Rosengart and Judge Penny would have done, is to appoint what's called a referee to attend the deposition. And I was surprised that didn't happen, because Jamie acted in bad faith clearly so far in saying, I won't even show up for a depo. He's objected to every single question. And to think that Jamie's now going to appear at this deposition and just say, oh, sure, let me just answer all these questions. We already know he's going to object to every single one. And so if they had asked for a referee, that is usually a retired judge that sits in on the deposition and rules on every objection on the spot and then says, hey, overruled. And because that question, Kim, would definitely draw a objection on privacy grounds, to saying like, hey, if we had a romantic relationship, that's private. Refuse to answer. Also, Fifth Amendment, because maybe there's a co-conspirator allegation here between the two of them. Refuse to answer. If there was a referee there, they could say, hey, I'm overruling that. No referee there. That means the court reporter will take down all that stuff. Rosengart then has to file a motion to go back to court saying, hey, Judge Penny, I asked these questions. He refused to answer it. 6 months later, we'll get a ruling on that, and he'll have to go back and answer whatever questions that Penny says were improperly objected to.
I mean, Penny knows all this too, right? It's like Penny could be doing things to speed this up, correct?
Yeah, I mean, when I was in court in January, when they were talking about trial setting and discovery and all this, it was clear that this was on a very slow boat to nowhere. And that's the thing is, and Penny was saying like, look, she's overworked. I mean, you say whatever you want to about Penny, but what is true is that courtroom has a massive amount of cases that are going through there. And she was saying like, look, I mean, she has no time to do all of the work. So it has to be constantly pushed off and a little bit here and a little bit there. And we saw that with every hearing. Yeah, give you an hour here and then come back in 2 months, I'll give you another hour. And that's not out of not caring. It's just having too many cases assigned to her courtroom. But what could have happened, especially because Judge Penny has mismanaged this case for so many years and causing Britney to suffer so greatly, that Penny should have actively managed the case and to saying like, hey, we've got to make amends here. And we can see what's going on. And sure, everybody has rights that need to be observed, but we need to ensure that this is handled quickly. And again, I don't know why Rosengart didn't ask for that referee. I tactically, if I had to bet on this, Jamie's going to say, yeah, my name is Jamie Spears. And I don't know that he's answering much else than that.
But is there a tactic there of maybe showing how difficult he's being? Is that a worthy sort of thing to have?
Well, we already know that.
That's true.
I think that, yeah, so that's a given. And the thing is that, look, I mean, Rosengart may be taking more of a defensive posture because it's like, we've got to remember the only thing in court that Britney Spears faces right now is a request by Jamie and Lynn Spears and the attorneys for fees against her. Now, at that January hearing, they were all asking for Britney to deposit the amounts that they were requesting in an account so it would be out of her hands. And luckily, Judge Penny said, I ain't doing that. So where Britney is right now legally is she's holding on to her own money and these other vultures are trying to get it from her. And so Rosengart may be thinking, hey, take all the time you want. We'll go to a depot. You don't want to answer the questions, then we'll go, 6 months later and have you ordered back to answer them. But in the meanwhile, you ain't getting a dime. And so I could get my head around that strategy because the other, the lawyer for Jamie has not gotten any money. I mean, and he has done a huge amount of work for no pay unless he got something out of Jamie or an insurance company for Jamie, which is my suspicion. But that guy's working, he ain't getting paid by Britney. And so Rosengart might be thinking, hey, take all the time you want, make every objection you want. We're very patient. We're sitting here. And meanwhile, we ain't cutting any checks to anybody. And, that's a fine strategy.
Interesting. That gives me some hope there is a plan. I mean, I'd like to think he has a plan. I think he does. I think he does. But yeah, he's a smart lawyer. There are still weird factions trying to say it's all still a conspiracy and she's not free. I don't know what they're doing, why they keep saying that. I think all of this is proving that she is, and they're upset. I don't think they'd be doing all this if it was the other way around, if there was still sort of connections. But I appreciate all that insight. All right, I'm clipping this portion just because there was a portion that's going to make this. I don't know where I did it, but if you missed the whole show, what are you doing? Hit the join button, and you can always catch the full show at your leisure and get amazing insight like this. And make sure you follow Christopher Melcher over on Twitter, over at CA_divorce, which I don't have here, but I'll put it up. Christopher, any other thoughts from you or any other cases or anything else going on in your world you want to bring up?
No, I mean, this is of the high interest right now, so I appreciate the opportunity to talk about Britney.
Yeah, it's heating up again, and do you agree that with Kevin making these moves that they're clearly must be sweating? Why else would they have done this, right?
Yeah, I think it's just retaliation. There's no, sometimes people will threaten things like this in order to extract money. And, so he may have floated that to her and, there's like, hey, we ain't playing that game. And it just seems spiteful now because whatever, it's just out there now. And so I don't think there's a lot of thinking going on. And like I say, if I would imagine that Kaplan has, weighed in on it and he is, he has no remorse or empathy or consideration for anyone other than himself. So, this puts Kaplan in the spotlight, K-Fed in the spotlight. That may be their only intentions. And then just to harm Britney, because like I say, in dealing with Kaplan, you would hope that a lot of attorneys would have this sense that like, hey, let's work this out. I mean, we can disagree on things, but let's work this out. There's no working out with that guy. And it's sick. And so I think that these are all the manifestations of two broken people.
Well, there you go. Another amazing show as I dealt with sound difficulties. We talked more with Christopher Melcher, and then we talked about the Mike Tyson biofilm, and Lewis got mad, and then I got mad at Lewis because I might have to get a stupid thing that I'm not supposed to get that he told me I was supposed to get, but now I'm going to have to get it. Oh, it was just an amazing show. Also, it's Kim and Steph, the Alter Nerd, were here. Go show them some love. We will work out the sound stuff soon, but thank you for bearing with me in the new studio and everything we do. You guys are amazing. We will see you soon. I'm going to redirect over to Lewis, which should happen any minute, and there's our amazing show for you. So please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, or more importantly, hit the join button. That way you always get the replays at your leisure. This is too loud for me to hear. You'll always get the replays when you want, so that way you can catch it if you missed it later. That is a perk, if you catch it later, of being a member here on Popcorn Planet. Appreciate you guys so much. Have a wonderful day. We will see you later. Bye!